Here we are at the Federal Hall Memorial. This area, this building, was actually home to the second City Hall from 1699 to 1812, and it was home to the Federal Hall, the government, the actual federal government, before it moved from New York to Philly and eventually to Washington, D.C. Now, while this was the center of the government, there were a lot of major events that took place. In the early 1780s, this is where a lot of the colonial elites, like George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, where they met and discussed and tried to figure out what they're actually going to do with this new nation that lay at their hands. Finally, this is also the site of George Washington's inauguration. As you can see from the statue, where it looks like he's scratching a record, he actually has his hand on an invisible Bible. A Bible that they actually originally forgot to bring because, this is the first time you're inaugurating a president. Now, this inauguration was a very big deal. He didn't want it to be. Now, remember I said earlier, Washington was a very humble leader. He did not want to be in power all the time. He established that precedent of serving only 2 terms. He also wanted to show up with very little fanfare, which is exactly the opposite of what happened. All the way from Jersey to here, when he arrived, he was met with honor guards, with processions, and people throwing flowers, and people scribbling GW on the walls everywhere. Big, big deal. There's parties everywhere, people crowding around his house. The inauguration was deafening. When he first arrived, there were speeches that absolutely nobody heard. Maybe the people who spoke, or maybe the people who read the speeches. Big deal. So, this, of course, in 1812, when the City Hall moved away from New York City to Albany, in 1812, when the Capitol moved away from New York City to Albany, this building was knocked down. The City Hall was moved uptown. That's where it still is today. And this became home to a custom house, to a bookstore, to a lot of many different buildings before it became the monument it is today. Now, follow me. We're going to go to Trinity Church.